The Lyrians ascended the highest section of the Mahakam range. Snow crunched under their boots, cold air stung their lungs, and the wind snapped at their cloaks. Meve wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Reynard.
There! By the rocks! We shall...
The rest of her words were drowned out by a powerful blast. The entire mountain rumbled with a low, vibrating roar. The sound grew louder, echoing off the rocks, splitting their ears. The Lyrians looked around, disoriented. Few heard Gabor's warning.
Dinna just stand there! Get behind a rock! Quick! Hurry!
Meve followed the dwarf's gaze and cried out in terror. The snow stuck to the mountainside had started to slide down the slope, sending up mists of icy dust. Before she could react, the white torrent knocked her to her knees, crushing her and smothering her into the ground. All she felt after that was all-encompassing cold and fear. Meve survived. The dwarves who ran to the Lyrians' rescue dug her out of the snow in time. Some of her soldiers were not so lucky. The Queen looked at their bodies, blue, frozen. Next to them lay dead horses, demolished wagons. The losses were enormous. Meve wiped her cheek. Her tears burned her frozen skin. Gabor spoke a while with the leader of the Mahakam guard patrol that had come to their rescue. His face was dour.
What? What have you learned?
I'll tell you all in good time. First, you need a warm drink, good victuals.
No, Gabor. I need to find out what in blazes happened here.
Well, it was an avalanche.
Of course it was an avalanche. I'm no fool. But what caused it? What was that noise?
Signal horns. Ours.
So you brought this snow down on us? Dwarves!
Well, aye, but, unawares.
I'm extremely curious how one sounds a horn without being aware of it. That must be quite a sight.
Meve, let me explain.
I will. And the explanation better not sound like a clumsy excuse. Explain, in brief.
See, we clean our mount regularly. The way menfolk shovel snow off their roofs. Otherwise, the whole shebang would come tumbling down on our heads. When snow's gathered deep enough, we blast our horns to cause a controlled avalanche. Then we need to, sweep up a wee bit and the road's safe.
All well and good, but why did you decide to clean up right as I was passing through?
Wondering that myself. Schedule says next cleaning should have been a week from now. But someone asked the route to be cleared earlier.
Who?
Meve, I'll tell you. But first, promise you'll...
Who?
Hey. Owain ep Glenvog, the Nilfgaardian emissary. Must have found out you'd be going through. Think it were meant as revenge for attacking their caravan.
The bastard. Reynard! Reynard!
Wait! Wait! I understand you're a wee bit upset, you've every right. But you'll never prove Owain meant you harm. The sly weasel will make sure he didn't dirty his own paws.
I've no such scruples. I'll find him and kill him.
And then? How'd you tell that tale to Bruva? Meve, you're justly taught, but for the love, just this once, let it go. Or you'll leave Mahakam with near a scrap to show for it.
Moments later, scouts reported Owain was camped to the north of the accident site. Meve had to decide how much she was willing to risk to get her revenge on the Imperial emissary.
There, my lady,
whispered one of the scouts.
Left of the path.
Meve squinted. The Nilfgaardians had taken shelter from the falling snow under a rocky outcropping. The smell of roasting meat wafted from their campfire, and echoes of laughter could be heard. The black-clad soldiers had reason to celebrate. They had just decimated Meve's company without even drawing their weapons. Meve's gaze caught something else. A metal container into which the Nilfgaardians tossed bones once they'd been gnawed clean. It looked strangely familiar. Only after a moment did the Queen understand it was an overturned Lyrian helmet dug out of the snowy grave of one of her men.
The whoresons.
Meve hissed.
They'll pay for this.
Meve! Asking you last time, keep a cool head.
Whispered Gabble.
You want vengeance? I get it. But think of the cost. If so much as a hair gets plucked from Owain's head, Bruver will never forgive you, and you can kiss any hope of aid goodbye.
Silence followed, finally to be broken by one of the scouts.
Milady, what's the order? Do we attack?
No.
Said the Queen after long deliberation.
But milady, they...
I know what they did, and that I shall never forget nor forgive.
Said Meve, placing a hand on her scout's shoulder.
But breaking Dwarven law only plays into the Nilfgaardians' hand, causing us to lose allies and our chance for victory.
Meve brushed the snow from her trousers and straightened her spine.
Avenge our comrades we shall. Not here, but in the fields of Lyria and Rivia.
The Lyrians resumed their march with heavy, beleaguered steps. Their path still piled high with the snow brought down by the Nilfgaardians.
Await my signal.
The Queen stepped out from behind the rocks, put a hand to her mouth, and yelled,
Owain! Owain at Clenvog!
All laughter stopped in the Nilfgaardian camp. Moments later, a sumptuously dressed man stepped in front of the wagons. He wiped a thick sauce from his lips, then bowed with an exaggerated courtly flourish.
Queen, my condolences. That avalanche... Oh, what an unfortunate turn of events.
The mountains can be unpredictable.
Meve said with a shrug.
Accidents can happen at any time.
Oh, yes?
Even right now.
Meve leapt towards the emissary, placed two hands on his neck, and hurled him into a rock with all her might. The Nilfgaardian's head slammed against the stone, and his skull crumpled with a sickening crash. He fell to the ground and writhed a few final tremors.
Attack!
Meve roared.
Take no prisoners!
Gethen Quan and Lyrian!
Take no prisoners.
We should not have done this.
Meve showed no mercy for the Nilfgaardians in Owain ep Clenvog's camp. All would share their leader's fate. And the dwarves? As predicted, they were outraged by Meve's open attack on the Nilfgaardian emissary. Bruver Hoog suddenly called for a council of the clan elders. They debated what to do with the Lyrians for a long time. From what I've heard, only strong support from the Zigrins kept the Queen from receiving a harsh punishment. The elders, outraged the Queen had once again defied their principle of neutrality, levied a punishing financial penalty, and threatened another such incident would result in a lifetime ban from entering the Dwarven kingdom.
By the Elder's sideburns, I'd no notion anyone was in the Vale. Nilfgaardians said the road was clear. Ah, whoresons! What a mess! I'm so sorry. With all my heart.